Good morning. I would like to thank first the organizing committee to let me the opportunity to present this experiment performed with my colleague Karen Dynamed during the COVID-19 epidemic. I would like first to make a short introduction. So about distance learning, which is something that has been developed to give access to students to specific teaching and with the help of the development of video conference systems and communication with internet. I've been interested in using distance learning to give access to some of my lecture for students who were facing travel cost limitations and visa restrictions. And we see the COVID-19 epidemic is for sure now a great moment for this method teaching approach. But we can consider for the future also that this interest will stay mainly with the increase of ecological consciousness. On the other hand, problem-based learning is something different. So it is a student-centered approach where students develop a solution to a defined problem. It is very helpful for students to acquire critical thinking, but it's also a nice way to acquire knowledge and skills together. Merging these two approaches was something interesting and in line with the evolution of online resources and social media. The idea for us was to, with this test, was to identify best practices for this new protocol. So this case study concerns students working in research, and with this case, during this case study, we had to work with students from the pharmacy studies, which were registered in the research training path. So this experiment was performed in April 2020, so just at the beginning of the lockdown in France. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19 epidemic, all short internship were cancelled. So this internship is a great moment for these young students who can experiment live in a laboratory. They can run themselves experiments and write a scientific report. So what we decided to do is to replace this internship by a problem-based learning teaching approach, a project where students will have to use research methodology to acquire skills they would have acquired during the internship. So the objective were the same as the internship, that is acquire skills, but also test their motivations for research. What we decided is to do also to start a project based on what they would have made during the internship, that is embracing a new scientific questions, reducing to some experiments on the laboratory bench, and learn what a scientific result is. The interesting thing in this project is also that the center of interest of the students were very diverse. Some were interested in infectiology, others in cell biology, or even mathematics. So we built up a 4-week project, which was exactly the length of the internship, and with 2 meetings per week, one at the beginning to set of each week to set the goals, to review what was achieved the week before, and a second intermediate meeting to discuss some critical points and provide specific knowledge. So the role of the university tutor in this project was essential. He provided methodology, motivations, and helped students to be focused on the project. So the week start with the task distribution, then students was engaged independently in the study. During the first intermediate, the second meeting, the intermediate meeting, students share information together and try to go toward the solution. Then the student had to review what he had done with the help of the tutor and also with some collaboration with other students. Then you wrote the solution he found and what he has learned. And this could be done per group. And then this document were presented during the next meeting. So the subject of the project was was quite obvious. We decided to work on the COVID-19 epidemic, and this was confirmed by the student. The week one was dedicated to bibliography, and this was an amazing moment for the students because they could see the massive amount of literature that was produced suddenly by so many labs around the world. The week two was dedicated to the definition of the problems. The idea was to have to address some problematics that could integrate all field of interest of the different students. Then the transition to work three was difficult for such young students. So it's the university tutors who work to define from that project some objectives that scientific objectives associated with a methodological approach and that the student had to develop to set up protocols both in vitro and in vivo. And week four was dedicated to the specification and cost estimation. The lessons from this experiment is first that it was very successful, and the mark of the students are remarkably good. And we decided concerning the evaluation of the students, we keep the same evaluation as for an internship, that is continuous assessments with all this documentation produced and oral presentation during the intermediate meetings. So this was good. This was a nice opportunity to test students. Then they had to write a report and make an oral presentation. The level of achievement of the different documentation produced were around, I would say, 80 to 90%. But what was also very positive is that all the students continue in the research training path. The skills acquired are very close to what they would have acquired was the internship, except batch experiments. Communication was quite new at that time, but now it's obvious to everybody. And what we notice is the difficulty for students to work together, especially at the beginning. You have to imagine it's something like someone who learned a language with at the beginning with few words. It is difficult to sustain a discussion. So this is exactly what we observe with our students. So there is here a place where we need to work on. So all this, all what I presented is available on internet and an internet presentation. Now I would like to finish my presentation with the Dynamed master program, which is our next challenge. So Dynamed is for dynamic of emerging and infectious disease. This is the first ASAIL International Master Program. So ASAIL is an association of about 200 universities in Asia, where Montpellier and Warsaw are universities are also partners. The project of Dynamed was initiated in 2017, and it's managed by CIRAD, a research institution in France. So the 5 universities are partners in these projects, 2 in Europe, 3 in Asia. What is important to note here is that students will be based in Asia. And since the beginning, we decided to develop direct teaching with video conference resources because students will be present at different places. But we consider direct teaching as the best way to interact with students. The challenge for Dynamed is clearly virtual mobility. Um, but before that, what we have to overcome is the impact of the COVID-19 epidemic. This epidemic has very positive aspect concerning the development of software and technology for the communication, but the problem at the moment we're facing is our economical model. So Dynamed is mainly supported by donations from economic partners or foundations, and we are not present in Asia for the moment to collect these funds. So concerning virtual mobility, we identify very early a critical point concerning tutoring. This is very well developed by some partners, but the way it is performed was not adapted with distance teaching. So we had to set up a remuneration system to develop this practice also in all the in the other partners in the project. Mentoring is something we're thinking about, but we consider to setting this up only after 1 year. And problem-based learning is something that is present also in our teachings. And with the feedback of this case study, we know now that we have to develop specific tools to enhance teamwork during this master degree. And I will finish just to say that we get the support of Muse TechOps3 to share our experience through a webinar and different meeting. I would like to thank you for your attention.